Alright, so today we're going to go ahead and get started on our new unit. Yesterday we did some review on some angles, so we talked about our supplementary, complementary, and vertical angles. And so today we're going to go ahead and talk about what happens when we have parallel lines that are cut by a transversal line, and then review some of the angles from yesterday as well. And so I posted a reference sheet on Google Classroom, so if you have access to a computer, you could feel free to print it. But if you don't have access, then you could just take out a sheet of paper and just copy this down as notes. So if you need to stop the video as you're going along, your only assignment for today is going to be to copy these notes. So feel free to go as slow or as fast as you need to through the video. But the notes is what I'm going to be looking for you to upload. So here we go with lesson number 2. So first angle that I want to review are going to be interior angles, and so just some basics here. We have line H and R, which we're told are parallel, and so we can be told by these arrows here. And so just a quick reminder that parallel lines, the symbol is going to be those two lines that are vertical right next to each other, and then those parallel lines are going to be cut by a line. Here the line is T, and we simply call that a transversal. So it's just a line that's going to intersect two of our parallel lines. So here for our interior angles, it's basically just going to be any angle that falls inside of the two parallel lines. So here we have angle 1, we have angle 2, we have angle 3, and we have angle 4. And so there's nothing special about these lines other than they're all inside of the angles. Alright, moving along, we're going to have the same parallel lines, line H and line R, that's cut by line T, which is a transversal. And so here we're going to be reviewing what our exterior angles are. So whenever you think of exterior, think of exit. So we're outside. So we are going to be outside of the parallel lines. So here we have our angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4 are now all outside of the parallel lines, therefore they would be considered alternate exterior. Same thing like the interior, there's nothing special other than that they're all in the same position where they're outside of the parallel lines. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and move into our alternate interior angles. Okay, so alternate here being kind of the opposite, and so if you think of the opposite, it means it's just going to be on the other side of the, of our transversal. So here, if I am looking at angle 1, the alternate interior angle is going to be on the opposite side here. So angle 1 and angle 4 are going to be alternate interior angles. So angle 1 and angle 4, okay. Next, we're going to have angle 2 and angle 3. Okay, so angle 2 and angle 3. And so here, these do have a special property. And so the property that alternate interior angles have is that they are going to be congruent. And so remember, our symbol for congruent is our equal sign with the squiggly. Okay, so these are congruent angles, and so because they're congruent, we know that they're going to be equal to each other. So here we know that angle 1 is going to be equal to angle 4, and we also know that angle 2 is going to be equal to angle 3. Alright, next we're going to be talking about alternate exterior angles. Alright, so with our alternate exterior angles, same thing as the alternate interior, they're going to be opposite. And so here, if I'm looking at angle 1, the alternate exterior angle is going to be angle 4. So here we have angle 1 and angle 4 once again. Okay, and then the alternate exterior for angle 2 is going to be angle 3. Okay, and so just like our alternate interior angles, our alternate exterior angles are also going to be congruent. That's supposed to be an R, congruent. Okay, and so once again, congruent means they are the same, and therefore angle 1 is going to equal angle 4. And if angle 1 equals angle 4, then we know that angle 2 is also going to equal angle 3. And once again, this would be by the property of alternate exterior angles. Next, we're going to have what is called consecutive interior angles, okay? Or you might also see it as same side. So same side interior angles, okay? And so for these, they're just like it says, they're going to be on the same side. So I'm going to have angle 1 and angle 3 are going to be consecutive interior angles, okay? And so what is true about angle 1 and angle 3 is going to be that they are going to be supplementary, meaning they're going to add up to 180 degrees. And let me go over that because that's a little hard to see. So angle 1 plus angle 3 are going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, and so that's going to be the same for angle 2 and angle 4. So here we know that angle 2 plus angle 4 are going to be 180. And so remember, yesterday we learned that when two angles add up to 180, they're simply called supplementary. So these are going to be supplementary. So they're going to be supplementary angles, meaning they add up to 180 degrees. All right. Next, we have what is called corresponding angles. And so corresponding angles has to do with the position of the angle. So here, if you look at angle 1 and angle 3, those would be corresponding angles. So angle 1 and angle 3 are going to be corresponding angles. If you see, in reference once again to the parallel lines, angle 1 and angle 3 are both on top of the parallel lines, and they're both on the left-hand side, okay? And then if you look at angle 2 and angle 4, those would also be corresponding angles. And so here, angle 2 and angle 4 are both under the parallel lines, and they're both on the right-hand side. So once again, corresponding has to do with the position, okay? And so what's important about corresponding angles is just like some of our other angles, they are also congruent. So here, these are actually equal, okay? And I do want to note that there are more than just these two pairs, right? So this angle down here is also going to be corresponding to this angle down here. Up here on top of 2, this angle here is also going to be corresponding to this angle here. So that's going to be the same on some of the other ones, so I'll kind of go back and show you how to find those. But once again, there's a lot of corresponding angles. Once again, it just has to do with the positions. All right, yesterday we talked about vertical angles, and so remember, vertical angles are simply going to be across from each other. So here we have angle 1 and angle 2 are going to be vertical of each other, and then we also have angle 3 and angle 4, which are also going to be vertical to each other. And so yesterday we learned that vertical angles are also congruent, and so here we can say that angle 1 is going to be equal to angle 2, and angle 3 is also going to be equal to angle 4. And likewise, you're going to have a lot more angles that are vertical. So here, the yellows would be vertical to each other. These blues would also be vertical to each other. In yesterday's video, I talked a little about adjacent angles, or we talked about what non-adjacent were, and so I was able to explain that by talking about adjacent. And so when we talk about adjacent angles, there's simply going to be two angles that are right next to each other. So here we have angle 1 and angle 2. They're right next to each other. And so here, when they're on the parallel lines, they're actually going to also be supplementary. So they're going to add to 180 degrees. So I'm just going to put plus 180 because they add to 180 degrees. So angle 1 plus angle to add